Hello friends! This story's called Little Beaver and the Echo by Amy MacDonald. And I love telling this with my little puppet friends and my Rubbermaid bin, which is really great. I changed the background on it. And I like to use the puppet stand in this story because then all of the puppets can be displayed for the story when they get on the boat. So this story's called Little Beaver and the Echo. Here we go. This is my friend, Little Beaver. And although he's my friend, Little Beaver feels really, really lonely because he doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have any brothers, he doesn't have any sisters, and he doesn't have any friends. And one day he looked around his pond, there was nobody to play with, and it made him very, very, very sad. So he started to cry. And he cried, and he cried, and he cried, and as he cried, you know how it gets, right? When you get upset, it gets louder and louder and louder, and finally, Little Beaver said, "Boo-hoo!" And then, Little Beaver heard something. Do you know what he heard? Boo-hoo! So Little Beaver thought about it. Then he said, "Wah!" And he listened, and he heard, "Wah!" All the way from across the pond, Little Beaver looked. He didn't see anything. But he said, "Oh, why are you crying?" And he thought about it for a moment, and then he heard, "Why are you crying?" And Little Beaver said, "Because I don't have any friends." And then he paused, and then he heard, "Because I don't have any friends." "I'll be your friend," said Little Beaver. And he waited, and then he heard, "I'll be your friend." So Little Beaver got into his little canoe. Are you ready to go for a ride? Great. So he gets into his canoe, and he paddles, and he paddles, and he paddles like this. Can you help him? And he loves to sing. Do you like to sing too? Oh, great. So he sings, "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream." And he sees somebody in the pond. And who is it? Duck. So Little Beaver says, "Do you need a friend?" And Duck says, "Sure, I need a friend. Was it you who was crying?" No," says Duck, "it wasn't me that was crying, but I'll be your friend." "Okay," says Little Beaver, "would you like to go for a little ride with me?" "Sure," says Duck. So Duck gets into the canoe, and they paddle. Should we go really slow? Alright, let's go really, really slow. And they go a little bit further in the pond, and they see somebody by the edge of the pond. I'm not sure if all of my friends know who this friend is. Otter. Can we say hi, Otter? So Little Beaver says, "Were you crying? Do you need a friend?" And Otter says, No, I wasn't crying, but I can always use a friend." "Oh, would you like to go for a ride with me and Duck?" "Sure," says Otter. "Okay, you can come for a ride with us. Hop in." So Otter hops in onto the boat. And this time, what do you think? Do you think we should go fast? We should. Okay. Get your paddle ready, Otter. Ready? "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream." And they come across someone else. Someone who is sunning himself on the rock, and he's really, really just so happy to be out lying in the sun. Oh, you know who this is, right? So Little Beaver says, "Were you crying? Do you need a friend?" And Turtle says, "No, I wasn't crying, but I can always use a friend." "Oh, okay, come on in," says Little Beaver. "Let's go for a ride around the pond." "Okay," says Turtle, so he gets in. So they're going to paddle a little bit longer, alright? Let's paddle, 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 paddle. Did you get splashed? Me too. Alright, so they paddle a little bit longer. They come all the way to the other end of the pond. And there's a nice little beaver dam. And there's a nice little beaver house. Oh, and there's an old, wise beaver that lives in the house. And Little Beaver's really brave. Goes up, "Were you crying? Do you need a friend?" And old Beaver says, "No, I wasn't crying. And I can always use some friends. But I'm not sure who was crying and needed a friend, said old Beaver. So little Beaver gets really, really upset, and he starts to cry. What's wrong? Well, I was at my house on the other side of the pond, and I heard somebody crying, and they said, I need a friend. So I've been paddling all day long, and I still can't find them, says little Beaver. And old Beaver says, oh, I know who it was. Little Beaver is so excited. Who was it? Who was it? And old Beaver says, it was the echo. Well, where is the echo? Said little Beaver. And old Beaver says, it's always on the other side of the pond. Oh, what do you mean? Says little Beaver. I don't have any friends and I really needed a friend. And Duck says, well, I'm your friend now. And Otter says, me too. And Turtle says, me three. Oh, says little Beaver, I guess I do have some friends now. But what about the echo? And old Beaver says, it's always on the other side of the pond. So when you are sad, the echo is sad. And when you are happy, the echo is also happy. Oh, says little Beaver. Well, do you think little Beaver is happy now? Me too. Wow, says little Beaver. I now have friends. And little Beaver was so excited, he shouted, hooray! And he waited a minute, and guess what he heard on the other side of the pond? Hooray! The end.